Oklahoma Watch has obtained a draft proposal of the commission, and what they found is not exactly what lawmakers had expected. Joining us to talk about this is Paul Monies from Oklahoma Watch. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me today.
Now, this is a draft summary that you've obtained, so presumably there is a final report coming out sometime soon?
That's right. Hopefully maybe the next week or two. The commission itself has to kind of finalize its own recommendations to pick from these 61 of these draft summary recommendations that the different audits from each agency found.
Now, what did the initial audits of the 6 agencies find?
Well, so these were performance audits. So this commission spent about $1.3 million to hire 4 different audit firms to go out and kind of figure out how these agencies are being efficient in their processes. They do a lot of interactions with the public. And so they basically had spent a lot of last year, the latter part of last year, doing this. And so generally the 61 recommendations mostly looks like fine-tuning around the edges of some stuff, making sure the agencies are within their mission and doing the programs that they're supposed to do. So there wasn't a whole lot of money that they found that was being wasted. In fact, in a couple recommendations, they said maybe you should spend more on this program.
Not exactly what they were expecting to find, right? They were looking for inefficiencies. Were there any that they found?
That's right. There was some that they did find, maybe have to do with some IT processes or making sure that that agency was, within its mission to do that certain program. But they also, they weren't great big ticket things that they kind of thought would be huge savings. So maybe not what the commission maybe thought when they first started these audits.
Is the commission being open and transparent with their findings?
Well, I mean, I think they were trying to, but there was some concerns here because they actually were planning on meeting with agency heads and having these in a public forum earlier this month, and then they kind of changed tack. We've got some emails that they kind of basically said, we're not going to meet with these agency heads, we're not going to make it a public meeting, and they said we're going to meet behind closed doors and discuss these before we actually come back to have it in a public meeting. And they did kind of do this without meeting in their full quorum. So they did small groups of this commission that met with lawmakers last week.
Now, Governor Stitt campaigned on making state agencies much more efficient, and is this square with the governor's call to do more audits to make them more efficient and accountable?
Well, I think it does. I mean, these were private auditors that came in and looked at these agencies, which is something that the governor has mentioned on the campaign trail, that looking at these agencies need to be kind of from an outside perspective, maybe from a business perspective. So this commission is set up. It's a 9-member commission. It's all private business people. And so, it's that outside group of people looking at these agencies, but it's really too early in his tenure right now to say if this is something that he will be useful. He's also called for his own audits of different agencies going forward and greater transparency and accountability for some of those agencies.
Paul Monies from Oklahoma Watch, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.